Hey guys, and welcome back to this episode of The Heathen Vegan. On today's episode, I'm going to show you how to make marinara from scratch in under 45 minutes, and then I'm going to show you how to make an Italian lover's pizza. Let's go! So, the tomatoes and garlic and not olives, sorry, and onion are really the only things that I need to chop up for this recipe. I make it super simple. You want to put mushrooms in it, you want to put peppers in it. Again, whatever you'd like. I'm going to show you real quick. This is the pan I'm going to be using to bake my marinara sauce in. My fluid ingredients is olive oil. I use extra virgin. I really like that type. I also like to put a little bit of Marsala wine sauce in there. I use Holland House. And then I put, like a tablespoon of this stuff in here. It's the Wizard's Organic Vegan Worcestershire Sauce. It really makes a lot of recipes pop. I also put in a bouillon cube of not beef. It's vegan and it's gluten free. Okay. Okay, so I just put in the rest of my seasonings. It's nothing fancy. Again, you would use what you would like. I'm using my salt and pepper. That's a staple. I do like to put a little bit of ground paprika in there. Just I think mostly just to give it a little bit of color cuz when you make this sauce like this, if for me anyway, if I don't use the paprika, it doesn't have like that red color that I'm used to buying from the jar. I'm going to use parsley flakes, oregano, basil leaves, some freeze-dried chives, and also some Italian seasonings. After I get my onions and my garlic and my tomatoes cut up, I am gonna put some fresh basil and chives and parsley from my herb garden into it. All right. So as you can see, I have the tomatoes chopped. I also, after I put the tomatoes in there, I did some salt and pepper on there. I also put in there some herbs from my herb garden. There's chives and basil and parsley. For the oven, I have it heated to 420. What's going to happen with this after you put this in the oven is the tomatoes themselves are going to start to, I guess for lack of a better word, they're going to kind of melt. And you'll find that as it starts to cook, that they're going to get a little bit more mushier, and then all the ingredients are going to turn into that sauce-like consistency. And and that usually happens about 15 minutes into baking it, because it takes about a half an hour or so for the sauce to really get going. And I'll show you that in a little bit. I want to show you real quick that with this sauce today, I'm going to make a gluten-free pizza with it. I'm going to show you some of the ingredients I'm going to use after my marinara sauce is done. Right now I have cauliflower. It's a pizza crust, and I've used this a couple times. It comes 2 per pack. You can get it at Walmart for like $6. The grocery stores sell it too, but it's like $9 if it's not on sale. You do get two of the crust. And then for cheeses, I'm going to use Follow Your Heart, dairy-free mozzarella shreds. I'm going to also use Follow Your Heart cheddar. And then I'm going to put Follow Your Heart's brand Parmesan cheese in there. Oh, look at the steam coming off there. That looks so beautiful. So I went and I took my spoon. I have a spoon that's metal and it's slotted, so it's a little bit easier to, I guess, mash the tomatoes. That's the correct way to say it. Not too sure. It's really super early in the morning and I wanted to get a good start on the day, so this video might not make any sense. Anyway, so as you can see right now, I mean, that's looking really good. There's still a couple tomatoes that need to cook a little bit more so that they can be mushed back in there. But I mean, marinara sauce, it's looking really good to me. Also, it's smelling pretty great too. So it's been in the oven for about a half an hour now. This right here is a good indication to me that it's ready to come out of the oven. Usually when it starts boiling is usually when the marinara is done. And there it is. Homemade marinara from scratch in less than 45 minutes. I'm going to do a real quick close-up so you guys can see it. It looks beautiful. I can't wait to use this in the pizza. So what I like to do is instead of just like packaging it up and put it right in the fridge, I like to let this cool to about room temperature, and then I'll portion it out and I'll put it in containers that will go in the fridge and containers that will go in the freezer. This right here is a super quick, easy, fast recipe that can be done, including prep time, in less than 45 minutes. And this looks great. It smells great too. If you want this to be a little bit thicker, I like it like this. I don't like to put a lot of like additives or preservatives or thickeners in the sauce. But if you do want to make this a little bit thicker, you can put some Exan gum in there. You can also put some gluten-free flour in there. Now, if you do put gluten-free flour in there, you got to try to make sure that you get some that doesn't see I oh. So if you do put gluten-free flour in there, what I'd like to forewarn you, if you're like me and you don't really like a lot of sugar, is to try to be careful with the flour and try to get the flour that doesn't have sugar in it, and try not to get like sweet gluten-free flour. Like sorghum gum would probably be a really good flour base to use for this. Another good one would probably be brown rice flour, because that's gonna be naturally not as sweet as the other flours you can get. Like, what I like to do for my gluten-free vegan crust, I like to par bake it, and before I put it into the oven, I put some olive oil on there. As you can see, the shimmering. I also put on there, I freshly chopped a clove of garlic and I split it up between the two shells. Also on there is salt and pepper, there's parsley, there's basil, and there is oregano. So I'm going to put this into the oven. I'm going to par bake it at 425 for about 5 minutes. I figure I would switch it up a little bit. Usually when I make my gluten-free vegan pizza, which I haven't made it that much, this is my third time, I usually make a cheese version and then I make a vegetarian bacon burger for my son. But I had these two packages in my freezer. They're open, as you can see, and I figured let's try something new. So I'm going to make an Italian pizza, and then I'm probably going to stick with a regular cheese pizza in case my son doesn't like it. In my Italian pizza, I'm going to put Gardine's, the ultimate beefless grounds, in there. And I'm also going to put Gardine's sliced Italian sausage. What I have right now going on in my pan is I have what I like to call my mop ingredients. My mop ingredients consist of mushrooms, onions, and peppers. I think that they are vital in keeping you clean, keeping you healthy, and helping you to remove and helping you to remove impurities from your body, and that's why I call them mop: mushroom, onions, and peppers. I also have in here a little bit of Marsala wine sauce, some olive oil. I put in a little bit of the Wizard's Worcester. I put in here a little bit of the Wizard's Worcester sauce, salt and pepper, basil, oregano, and paprika. So I'm gonna let this simmer. I'm gonna let this saute, and once it gets to the point where these are nice and soft, I'm gonna put in my beefless grounds and my Italian sausage. My crust, they are par baked to the consistency that I like. I like crispy crust, especially when it's thin crust. Also, going back over here to my saute pan, my mop, quote unquote, ingredients, they're sauteing up really nice, and now I'm going to put in my beefless ground rounds and my Italian sausage. I have just put in my vegan meat products. As you can see right now, they're sauteing up. And the beautiful thing about using vegetarian meat, let me rephrase that. I haven't cooked with animal meat in about 24 years. From what I remember though, there's like this pre-cooking process where it takes a long time, and then you gotta drain all that animal fat, which, side note, that's pretty gross. But I'm not making any judgments here. It is what it is. To each their own, right? Different strokes for different folks. Alright, back to the video. So this is sauteing up really nice. I wish you guys could smell this. Like, we had like sensory perception on our phones. You would understand. A little thing I do want to let you know though about these beefless rounds and this vegetarian sausage is it's very absorbent. So when you put your oil in there, your Marsala wine in there, Whatever you put in there that you decide that you want to cook with, because again, guys, we're each our own individuals, and we got to use that artistic license. That's so vital in this world right now. It's going to absorb the oils, and it's absorbing the oils because of the fact that these are basically TVPs. TVPs are textured vegetable proteins. Now, when you take a TVP and you freeze it, and then you take a TVP and you put it into heat, it's going to expand, and as it expands, it's going to use any available moisture that is there to help it, I guess for lack of a better word, become the product that it was meant to be from the original intender. I know, that's a weird sentence, but I'm a weird girl and shit like that happens. So with that being said, as this is here and it's sauteing and it's doing its thing, it's going to expand. And as it expands, you're going to need, you might want to, I'm not going to say you're going to need, because I don't know what you need. But I know I know from personal experience from cooking this, what I like to do is I like to put a little bit more oil in this. And when I put a little bit more oil in this, it gives it a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more forgiveness. I have my sauce on my pizza crust, the pizza crust that I part baked. And I gotta show you this real quick before I put the rest of the toppings on. Is that not a beautiful marinara? I mean, look at that. That was made fresh from scratch at like 4 o'clock this morning. All it is tomatoes, garlic, onion, some seasonings, olive oil, Marsala wine sauce, a no beef bouillon cube, and some vegan Worcestershire sauce. And look at that consistency. It's just beautiful. Not only that, there's no preservatives in it. There's no additives in this. This is whole food at its finest. As I showed you earlier in the video about the cheeses that I would be using, here is my pizza that's going to be plain cheese. I always, because of the fact that the pack of gluten-free pizza crusts come in 2 packs, I always make 1 cheese just in case my son or my granddaughters or my daughter doesn't like the other pizza that I make. Look at this right here. This is a beast. This is, let me see if I can get a close-up on this. This is our vegetarian meat that we sauteed earlier, the sausage and the meat crumbles, our TVP. I mean, this looks great. So right now, I'm going to pop it in the oven. Now, because of the fact that the crust is already par-baked, and because of the fact that the marinara is already cooked, and because of the fact that our meat is already cooked, right now, how long this takes in the oven is going to depend on how long it takes for the cheeses to melt. My oven is set to 425. I'm going to put it in the oven, and as soon as it's ready, I'll be right back. Our pizzas are done. As you can see, here's the cheese. Now, it doesn't look like the cheese is melted. It is vegan cheese, and it is gluten-free, so it's going to look like that. I'll move over here to the meat one. It is melted, and I mean, if you really want to, you could leave it in the oven for a couple more minutes. What I normally like to do when this is at this level, I usually like to turn the oven to broil. And I like to broil it for a minute because that really there gets the cheese to be melted a little bit more. And it gets it to really look like your traditional dairy type pizza. Guys, that's going to wrap up this episode of The Heathen Vegan. I hope that you have enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. If you'd like to see more of my gluten-free vegan cooking, subscribe to my channel. And if you took this recipe and you did your thing with it and you made it your own, I totally want to hear about it down below in the comments. Until next time, guys.